that your phone ringing? Have you ever gotten a random phone call with no caller ID? Well, Casey Becker from the horror movie classic Scream can relate.
Hello, I'm Octavia Claudio.
And I'm Emily Stellar.
And welcome back to Thumpintheories, where we review crazy fan theories as true or false so you don't have to. Scream is an all-time classic in the horror industry. Many of you guys listening can probably relate to the fact that you are tired of horror movies featuring the dumb blonde running away from a killer and then she trips and gets captured. Well, Scream takes that corny idea and turns it into an iconic movie intro. Not only does it grab the attention of the viewer, but it makes the film so much more than a bunch of victims making wrong decisions. The Scream killers are a huge part of the movie, and the mystery of who they really are keeps the viewer wanting more. In the original Scream movie, the killers were Stu Macher and Billy Loomis. Many suspect that Dewey is one of the third killers and that he actually contributes to the killings. This could be possible based on the fact that Dewey somehow got to Sydney's house in the middle of the nowhere when she never told him her location. Another couple pieces of evidence that could be the fact that when Dewey's sister died, he did not show a lot of emotion, and that after Ghostface showings, the Ghostface showing in the ice cream section at the supermarket, Dewey showed up in the next scene with ice cream.
Not only have Octavia and I watched tons of horror films, but we have also taken a deep dive into the movies to discover their true meanings and ideas. Oh, you were supposed to read.
No, it's okay.
By the end of this podcast, we hope that you will be able to give your own opinion on the theory and come up with your own conclusion. 3 pieces of evidence that we are going to review today are Dewey showing up at Cindy's house when she never told him her location, how he didn't show much emotion when his sister died, and the fact that he showed up with ice cream after a Ghostface showing at the ice cream section of the grocery store occurred.
To begin, we're going to talk about Dewey showing up at Sydney's house when she didn't give him her location. So, this is weird that Dewey showed up when, on a 911 call, she never told them where she was located and only texted them. For Dewey to be the killer, it would make a little bit of sense because his main role of being a hero, because he has the main role of being a hero. He also shows up after almost every single killing, and after Sydney got attacked and somehow had the ghost face mask that the killer wore. Why would he have that? You would think that the DNA would be on the mask, and so they would know who it belonged to. But if it was Dewey's, then he could have, wiped it clean, since he had possession of it.
Yeah.
This could just be due to the fact that perhaps the text automatically struck a concern in the police station, so they decided to drive there. But Dewey could have possibly already known where Sydney lived because her sister is best friends with Sydney. So him showing up to Sydney's house is weird, but also makes sense in a way, because if you call a 911 operator, they are supposed to show up in your house regardless of the reasoning. But I'm not sure if it worked like that back then when, what Scream...
Back then when the dinosaurs were moving.
In the time period that Scream was set in. The last explanation that can be made is that the police could have possibly already been there due to the fact that there have been killings going on around the house. And, in later Scream movies, they often have the main character's house guarded with police officers on watch in case of attacks happening. But this could explain why they were so fast when Sydney goes outside before the attack, But when Sydney goes outside before the attack, you do not see any police, around. So, going back to him actually showing up with the mask, I think that it would be weird for Dewey to actually show his own mask if it were his. And if the mask were Dewey's, then I suppose that he could have easily gotten rid of it by, after arresting Billy. And him actually showing that the mask was left somewhere on the property could have been a setup that it was Billy's. Another point is that Billy showed up in Cindy's room way too quickly to be able to not only hide the whole costume, change out of the costume, and then run outside and climb up the bedroom window.
Yeah.
There's no way he's doing all of that. I mean, I just think that it's extremely weird that he was at her house because before this happened, she went outside when Scream called and there were no police. It showed the landscape, but there was no police outside.
Mm-hmm.
So that scratches the idea of them even being there before. But I just think that they got there way too quick, and she didn't tell them the location.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
No, you bring up a good point when you say they were there so fast, but they didn't have the location.
Yeah. Like, it purposely shows that on the computer that, like, she didn't say the location. She just said, hey. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think that's so weird.
No, that is definitely weird.
So, now that we've discussed Dewey's, like, arrival at the crime scene, let's get into him actually leaving after the crime.
Okay, this point is very interesting, I think.
Yeah.
So, Dewey's seen with an ice cream cone after there was a ghost face showing at the ice cream section of the grocery store. Dewey showing up after the grocery store incident with an ice cream cone is extremely suspicious. The scene before Dewey is seen with an ice cream cone is Sydney and Tatum in the grocery store shopping in the ice cream aisle when suddenly a ghost face is seen in the reflection of the freezer. It could be an Easter egg that they added in to foreshadow Dewey having something to do with the killings. On the other hand, the ice cream could have no relevance at all to the previous scene and could just be part of the movie just to show how childish Dewey is. Dewey's character is portrayed as less mature than all the other cops, so it would make sense for them to add that little detail. The ice cream cone could also be showing how it is very easy to miss something so obvious in the movie. It could be showing how Dewey was just there and completely missed Ghostface the entire time. In my personal opinion, I think that they were definitely foreshadowing that Dewey had just been there. There are tons of other Easter eggs in the movie that give the viewers hints of who the killers are, so I definitely don't think that this was an accident.
Yeah, I don't think it was an accident either. And they're also known for, like, giving flash forward hints. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen, like, the little, things that you miss in Scream TikToks or videos.
Oh, I'm sure I have, but not recently.
But one of, like, even before in, like, I think it's Scream 3, they show... Oh my god, they show one of the Scream killers, like, videoing one of the deaths with her friends, but no one actually looked at the phone because they were too busy watching the killing happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you go back and look, it's like, oh, it was so obvious she was the killer, she was recording it.
Mm-hmm.
And then later that video went out. So the fact that he had ice cream after Ghostface was shown at the ice cream place.
Well, he could have had anything other... If the guy was hungry, he could have had anything else.
Exactly. And the fact that they were in the ice cream section.
Yeah.
Grr. Like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's weird.
Yeah. Well, it's just little details like that, like how in our last episode we mentioned that the mother in the Babadook was a children's author, and then this scary children's book shows up.
Like that? What?
Yeah.
No, it's just not a coincidence.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, I agree. Because he could have had anything else to eat.
Exactly. Like, even if it was to show how childish he was, like, give him a Twinkie.
Give my man a Twinkie.
Give him a juice box.
A hot dog.
Literally. Give him a glizzy with ketchup. But it doesn't have to be ice cream that was shown in the previous scene. There's just no way.
Do you know what kind of ice cream it was?
I think it was strawberry. No. I can't remember, but I think it was strawberry.
So, not only has Dewey been in multiple crime scenes, but he has also not shown a lot of emotion for his own sister's death.
So, many fans believe that Dewey not showing any emotion after seeing his sister closed in her garage door decapitated is pretty weird. The fact that Dewey didn't even shed a tear or mourn the loss of his sister is extremely weird. You would think that throughout the film we would hear more about Dewey losing his own sister to the killers and her being a victim of them, but not only do we not hear anything about her death, but we also never hear about how Dewey is feeling about it and if he wants to get revenge of her death.
Yeah, can I bring something up?
Yeah.
So, I feel like a common trope in horror movies is, like, well, I guess this could go for, like, the perpetrators as well, but a lot of times, like, the victims in horror movies experience tragic events like this, like the loss of a sibling or a parent or, I don't know, freaking a pet, I don't know, whatever you want, some sort of significant loss. So, to flip that perspective around and make it the opposite feeling to show of like a killer's side, how they don't feel that remorse, because obviously if they did it themselves, they wouldn't feel the remorse. So to flip it from the victim to the perpetrator, do you know what I'm saying?
A little bit.
Like, so you flipped it from being a victim that's sad because you just lost somebody in a regular horror movie. Now you flipped it so that you are a killer that isn't sad because you killed that person.
Oh. Yeah. See, it's just weird.
Yeah.
Like, you just, like, if I saw my sister in a garage door decapitated, I'm crying. But, girl, he was just fine. He was just worried about getting it on with some girl. Gail Weathers. Little Miss Gail Weathers. Like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't you do the same if...
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like, what?
Yeah. But I think that just goes to show that maybe he had something to do with it.
Yeah. And, like, on the other hand, Dewey could just be in shock from, like, the whole situation and could be mourning at his own pace. But Dewey's a police officer after all, and he doesn't see people get killed, and he does see people get killed and shot quite often. So he could be used to that, but that's your own family.
Yeah, it's different. You have a different connection.
Yeah. Like...
But I guess I guess he is a police officer, so you kind of have to give a little bit of a different perspective. But still, it is your own family. Like,
I know we're talking about the first Scream, but even fast forward to different Screams, he shows so much emotion when, like, Gail is, like, hurt.
Mm.
Like, you guys are related!
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So, like, another thing is that maybe the directors just didn't want to dive into the side of Dewey too much and make him seem even more soft-hearted than he already was. But, like, maybe they wanted to keep him, like, the hero image and continue on with the storyline of saving people and solving the murders. But Dewey not showing emotion is really weird, and it makes me extremely skeptical of his entire character.
Yeah.
Because that could be, like, a whole, like
side story.
Yeah,
they could have done something with that.
Like, that could be a motive for him wanting to keep being a police officer, but they did not use it as leverage at all. That's a little weird.
It could have been his revenge story.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, he could have gone on his own.
But they killed him. They killed him off later.
Bye-bye.
Literally, why? She deserves so much better, too.
Who?
Tatum, the one that died.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never thought, like, oh, Dewey's a bad character or anything, but I've always thought that there's definitely more than just those two, because they've always been somewhere and then something else would happen.
Yeah.
That's not a coincidence.
And I mean, that would add into the mysterious vibe of the Scream movies.
Yeah.
You gotta keep them on their toes, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that we have directed all of our evidence on... Directed? Now that we have discussed all of our own evidence on Dewey, let's conclude our ideas.
So, do we think this is Thumpintheories verified? Like, do we think Dewey's a third killer?
I don't really have enough... I don't have as much knowledge of the Scream movies as you do.
Uh-huh.
But, I mean, I feel like I can speak for even people like me who haven't seen the movies a ton, that it's kind of weird.
Yeah, that's a little suspicious.
Yeah. Especially, I think what really does it for me is the ice cream thing and the not showing emotion. I guess you could kind of brush off the not showing emotion because he is a police officer.
Yeah.
But we've already discussed that, whatever. But the ice cream is one of those stupid little horror movie details that really gets you thinking.
And also the showing up with the mask. I just don't think Billy looks athletic, okay? I know he's got the build. But I don't think he's flying down the stairs, hiding the costume, climbing up the roof, and she has a whole mansion. Like,
yeah, she does, though. She's got that Barbie dream house.
She does. Life in a dream. Like, I don't think he's doing all that. And then she comes outside. She's just trying to come outside. Next thing you know, Dewey's standing there with the mask. He's just like, ah! And he's got the mask in his hand. Like, girl.
Yeah.
You're putting your fingerprints on it.
And going back to how did Billy do all of that? Bro's not even winded or anything.
I know. He's just, hey girl. But he has that phone, so he could have easily been in those woods with the phone calling.
Yes.
And freaking Dewey's just in there getting it on.
Yeah. Oh.
Not like that. Dewey could just be in there freaking trying to slice her up.
Yeah. Slice her and dice her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what the whole, like, Stu's excuse... Oh, wait. Stu was out killing, what's-her-face? Cindy. So it couldn't even been her. Right? Okay, no. Stu was killing someone else, but I know he had a backstory because in the movie it just completely declined that it was him. But Billy going to jail that night was such a good cover for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was like, it's off his hands. Mm-hmm. And he's a police officer. He can clear any evidence. Mm-hmm. I know there's DNA on that mask. Don't even play.
So, an outsider's opinion we have today is Aaliyah Woodward. She says, I do not think that Dewey was a third killer in Scream, because he was pictured as a hero and not some villain. With this being said, I think that it is safe to say that Aaliyah does not agree with our theory.
Listen, I know Aaliyah watched the Scream movies, but she loves Dewey. Okay, she has a little soft spot.
Is there a little bit of bias in there?
Yeah, she has a little soft spot for him. So... So she's kind of blocking out this idea because she doesn't want it to be true. Yeah.
Okay.
Like, you know, you got a little bias.
But I mean, I guess she does have a reasoning when she says he's presented as a hero and not a villain. Yeah. Because he's just not obviously a bad guy. You have to dig more and think about it. Yeah. It's just, if in the 7th or Scream, if they were to reveal that Dewey had a little super Rooney in the back scenes, I would not be surprised. Let's just say that. Yeah. I just think it's not the obvious route, and that's what Scream's known for, not being obvious. Yeah. And him dying is a little cover. I mean, what is any horror movie without an underlying storyline? Exactly, that's what makes it good. Yeah. Exactly. Yep. And also, like, him dying was, like, a good cover because, I don't know if you know this, but Kirby came back in Scream 6 because, like, it never showed her body dying, but it showed her getting stabbed. So everyone assumed she was dead, and they never showed Dewey die. Like, he was in the hospital and stuff, but it was never confirmed. Mm-hmm. So they can leave a little gap for comfort, which they like to do. They like to leave a little gap room. We're calling out the Scream franchise. Yeah. So, I think that we could agree with this theory just a little bit. Mm-hmm. But maybe we can say it's potentially Thumpintheories. Yeah, potentially. We need a little more, I don't know. I feel like it destroys his character, but it could also build on it. Yeah. So, we will say that it's half verified. Yeah. So, Octavia, would you like to maybe mention a brief theory on a different character? Actually, I do think that from Scream 4, the killer named Jill Roberts, she wasn't the only one by herself, but I just think that she was, like, she's, I feel like, what made Scream so popular, because her killings are just very popular, and I feel like it's too iconic to let something go away like that. So I feel like she is going to come back? Yes. I know she was a little toasted after. I know she was a little toasted at the end of the movie. But, you know, girl could come back. Do you want to explain what happened to her? Okay, so basically in the hospital, when she was going to kill Sydney because she found out she was alive and she's like, girl, no, I'm being famous, not you. She came in there, she got those little electric thingies. Well, she was going to shoot her, but then Sydney got up and, you know those little electric thingies that you tase on you to bring you back alive? It's like, 1, 2, 3. Oh, I'm gonna sound so stupid. They're like defibrillators or something.
I don't know what they're called, but that sounds right. But Sydney took those things, rubbed them together, and then put it on her head.
Oh.
Her brain might be a little fried, but
Oh, yeah, okay.
She could be coming back.
She could come back with a few less brain cells. Like,
Yeah.
she's still mentally capable.
Yeah. Like, they've made Billy Loomis a ghost. Like, why not her? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She could do something. A little something. So.
You're gonna have to cut that out.
So, I just thought that was another little interesting side theory that we had going on.
Well, after listening to this podcast, I hope that you can come up with your own conclusion to the theories and share more that come to mind. With Dewey suspected of being a third killer, we have the evidence of him showing up at Sydney's house after she never gave her location, Dewey showing up with ice cream after a showing of Ghostface near the ice cream section of the grocery store, and Dewey not showing any emotion after the death of his own sister. With this being said, I hope the next time you hear your phone ring and it's a no-caller ID, you stop and think to yourself, do I really want to end up like Casey Becker?
Thank you all for listening to Thumpintheories.